I'm sure by now many of you are familiar with the story of LeBron James tweeting out the photo of the cop saying, "You're next." A young woman wielding a knife, winding up ready to stab another woman, got shot and killed by a cop. The cop saved another woman's life, and LeBron James doesn't care about facts. And because of the political power wielded by those who scream racism, this becomes the narrative. Well, LeBron James deleted the tweet and said, "Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done it, but I'm just sick and tired of black people being killed." Not realizing the greater context, probably not caring about the greater context. Well, following this, you've also may have seen the viral video from Nate Sylvester. It's actually a really funny video. So this cop is sitting in his car and he makes a joke. He posted on TikTok where he's looking, he pretends to look out his window and he says, oh no, there's a guy who's going to stab someone. I better call LeBron. And then he goes, "Yeah, can I talk to LeBron?" And he's like, just a minute, everybody, just a minute. And then he's jokingly talking to LeBron James, and LeBron basically jokingly says, "Don't intervene, let them have a knife fight, I guess." Well, here's the breaking news. This cop, according to a friend, has been suspended without pay for making the joke. Why anyone would want to be a cop at this point? Sure, whatever, it's a paycheck. The good news is, though, a GoFundMe was launched, and this dude has now raised something like, they say $60,000 in the article from MEAWW. But if you look at GoFundMe, it's $80,566. I would just like to point out, my friends, that we live in the stupidest possible timeline where people make money off of the culture war and grievances and just what? First of all, the cop shouldn't have been fired for making a dumb joke on the internet. And I just think it's really dumb that people in the culture where I don't care if you're on the left or the right, we get into fights with each other and then everyone just gives money to the person. It's just a perverse incentivization of what's going on. Now, I don't think it's the rule for the right. It's the exception, but it is the rule for the left, not the exception. Leftists launch GoFundMes all the time, and GoFundMe deletes right-wing fundraisers. So yes, the rule for the left, the exception for the right. I just think it's increasingly dumb that someone will do something dumb. Not this guy. This joke was funny. Shouldn't have been fired. I just think it's ridiculous. It's like something happens in the culture where everyone's like, "Quick, throw money at the person." Okay, sure, fine, whatever. Look, there's a lot of people I like who have been saved by fundraisers. So don't get me wrong. I get it. It's a good thing that people who are having their lives destroyed can have support from a community. It's actually extremely important. I just think it's so dumb that this is the current state of the cold civil war. It's like, say something. "Oh no, they're mad. Quick, throw money at them." Okay, I guess that's the way it works. But good, I guess. Look, this story I think is kind of dumb because the cop like I said, should not have been suspended. He's not fired. Okay, he's suspended. So maybe he'll get his job back. But there are a lot of stories about, people speaking up, fighting back against the woke mob and having their lives destroyed. So I think it does make sense. And it is a good thing that people are willing to support that. Let's read the story. And then I want to talk to you about where all of this goes. We have this story from the New York Post. University of Minnesota student University of Minnesota student leader urges peers to make life hell for cops, encouraging people to commit crimes. So we'll see how bad things get. But first, let's read this story from MEAWW. They say, a GoFundMe page claims that a police officer whose TikTok video on LeBron James went viral has been suspended without pay. While the campaign, created by a person called Gannon Ward, says that his friend Nate Sylvester, the police officer in the marshal's office in Bellevue, Idaho, has been suspended, his office said the matter is being dealt internally. Los Angeles Lakers James, LeBron, was accused of threatening the life of Ohio police officer Nicholas Reardon, who fatally shot Ma'Khia Bryant. James shared on Twitter and later deleted a photo of the officer and declared, "You're next." So we know all this. Following that, police officers began mocking James with videos posted on social media in which they pretended to call and ask him how to defuse different situations they encounter when responding to 911 calls. Sylvester's video was one of the more popular ones in that genre. "I'd like to tell you how to respond. Officer, you may find yourself sitting in a car when you get the radio comes in or whatever, however it works for you guys. You get a phone call, whatever. And they say, we got a priority one. What's happening? It's two young women and they're having a knife fight. You do? I'm good. I'm all right. You are under no obligation, as per the Supreme Court, to actually intervene to save anybody. And why would you go into a place where they don't want you anyway? Hey, that's what I'll tell you to do. Anyway, let's read more. The GoFundMe reads, "He's still got his job for now, but apparently the town where he polices didn't find his TikTok as amazingly comical and accurate as the 4.5 million viewers did, including some major news networks. The future is uncertain. I just don't want to see my friend lose out on any money for this when it was meant to be satirical and to point out an obvious flaw in LeBron's logic. Please donate what you can contribute. Every dollar helps. Thanks." According to a report in the Idaho Mountain Express, a formal complaint has been filed by a citizen against Sylvester. Bellevue Mayor Ned Burns said on Tuesday, April 27th, Burns did not reportedly expand on the nature of the complaint and said that he could not say whether Sylvester had been suspended while the complaint is under investigation. The same day, the marshal's office issued a statement that said, "The Bellevue Marshal's office is aware of the extreme controversy regarding Deputy Marshal Sylvester's viral TikTok. The statements made do not represent the Bellevue Marshal's office." So what does the Bellevue Marshal's office think? Am I supposed to believe now, if I live in this town, if someone comes out and there's a knife fight, y'all ain't going to respond? That's confidence building, I guess. They're going to say the Bellevue Marshal's office always demands that our deputies engage with our citizens in a friendly and professional manner. This is not how we expect our deputies to act on duty or use city time. This is a personnel issue that is being dealt with internally. The statement added, "We would like to thank everyone that took the time to reach out to us. We greatly value our relationship with our wonderful community." The video in question shows Sylvester arriving at a scene and calling dispatch. "Dispatch, I've arrived at that disturbance. Will you have LeBron call my cell phone right away, please? Thank you." The officer from inside his car speaks to unseen people outside his window and asks a person to put down a knife. He then tells him to hold on as LeBron was calling his phone. "LeBron, hey, yeah, it's me again. Listen, I'm out here at this disturbance call, and there's a guy trying to stab another guy with a knife. What do you think I should do?" Sylvester then asks, "Why does that matter?" Adding after a bit, "Okay, well, they're both black. One guy is trying to stab the other guy with a knife. Deadly force is completely justified." Sylvester pauses and then says, "So you don't care if a black person kills another black person, but you do care if a white cop kills a black person, even if he's doing it to save the life of another black person?" I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then again, you're really good at basketball, so I guess I'll take your word for it. Absolutely amazing. Now, MEAWW says that the campaign has raised $54,000, but if you actually go over to GoFundMe as of right now, it is at $80,566, and there are a bunch of updates. So they say another goal reached. Thank you all so much for helping out Nate. Reach another goal, and there you go. We have some comments here. Matthew Ramil donated. He says, "Police are the backbone of our community. They don't deserve what's going on against them. We back the blue. Stay strong." Here's my question about all of this stuff. What I don't get is that conservatives don't live in these major urban metros. And I guess you have a small town local police department. You want to support them. Maybe that makes sense. But most of the problems we're seeing from, the police, I guess that Black Lives Matter brings up, they're happening in New York and Chicago. And I don't know. I don't know what the point is of bringing it up other than I guess it's a good thing that this cop is getting support. There are people who just want to make life miserable, and it's working. The problem is when your own politicians and your own population vote against you, I don't know what you do other than just leave. And I don't understand why there are cops who want to sit around and keep doing something that people are telling them not to do. Well, which brings me to this story here. This one may actually be illegal. University of Minnesota student leader urges peers to make life hell for cops. They say, Lauren Myers, a member of the Minnesota Student Association Executive Board, allegedly directed students to use up campus cops' resources in an effort to pressure the department's police chief to resign, make their lives hell, annoy the ish out of them. Myers said in footage of a video conference, like use up their resources, make their officers show up to do something. I mentioned this person is telling people to call in fake reports. Myers had been addressing a letter sent this week from students to school president Joan Gable, calling on University of Minnesota Police Department Chief Matt Clark to resign for allegedly failing to properly protect students of color. The letter claims that Clark has refused to increase campus safety and wellness for students of color and allowed the utilization of UMPD as a physical arm of the oppressive state to subjugate and silence community members. It went on to threaten direct actions if our demands are not met. During the video conference, which has since been deleted from Reddit, Myers has asked what action students should take, according to the outlet. When you say disrupt UMPD, what exactly do you mean by that? One student asked. One student asked her, prompting Myers to instruct students to make their lives hell. The comment outraged police union groups, including the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association and Law Enforcement Labor Services, which demanded an investigation into whether Myers violated the college's code of conduct. I'm sorry. Telling people to break the law and to call in fake reports, I'm pretty sure that's a crime. Quote, "We are frustrated that elected student leaders would purposefully choose to stir further division to make the campus less safe," said Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association Executive Director Brian Peters. Actively planning to thwart UMPD by generating false calls for help is insulting to the overwhelming majority of the campus community that rely on public safety services. MSA leaders should be ashamed and apologize to the campus community and victims of crime on campus. He added that state law prohibits calling in false emergencies or crimes. Rep for the school also spoke out against Myers' call to disrupt police officers. The university respects the autonomy of the Minnesota Student Association as an independent governance organization for undergraduate students, including the autonomy of its membership to speak freely, the school spokesman told Alpha News. However, in this instance, the university unequivocally disagrees with the ideas expressed about disrupting UMPD's daily work. These ideas are illegal and would directly conflict with ongoing efforts to keep our campus community safe. A rep for the Minnesota Student Association did not respond to the outlet's request for comment. Well, there you go. These people don't want campus safety. They like to pretend they do. They say things like, what's the point of going to campus if it's not safe? What does safe mean? Well, it means someone won't punch you in the face, I guess, but that's not true because we already saw what happened at Evergreen where they marched around with baseball bats, apparently hit a guy. Now they want to use up police resources so that they won't be able to respond to actual crimes in progress. And this is the problem I have with, look, the cops are sitting there being abused by whiny, spoiled brats who yell, call the cops the moment they get attacked. There's a video where like some Antifa people are like walking down the street. They throw something at a car, and they had literally just come from an anti-police protest. And then the car stops, and the guy gets out with a weapon or something, and they scream, "Call 911!" It is a bunch of spoiled, whiny children who are playing make-believe. Stop entertaining these people. Stop answering these calls. I am sick of the cops at this point. It's like, you imagine this. You're in an ice cream shop, right? And there's a lady with her kid. And the kid's screaming about how he wants 2 scoops of cookies and cream. And the mom's like, but you just had a scoop. You already had. Shut up, Mom. I want ice. I'm like, you ever see something like that? Where the parent just won't tell the kid to shut up. You're not getting more ice cream. The more you cry, the worse you make it. If you won't shut up, you're not getting any ice cream at all. But I want 2 scoops. Now you're not getting any. Discipline. Instead, what we have are cops who are sitting there as the children are screaming at the top of their lungs. And they're like, okay, I'll keep giving them what they want. I get it. It would be like if the kid was screaming so you didn't buy ice cream for anybody. But right now you have these people who are actively disrupting, and there is no one doing anything about it. Where are the parents to tell their kids to shut their mouths? Apparently nowhere in sight. So how about this? If there is a mother in an ice cream shop and her kid is screaming and stomping his feet and banging on the glass, demanding 2 scoops instead of 1, and the mom won't do anything about it, don't help the mom. She has made her own bed. She can lie in it. Instead, the police still come out when the mom calls for help. My son, he won't stop screaming. Please send someone to help. And the cops show up and they're like, we're sorry, ma'am. We'll help deal with your problem. You're a bad parent and can't take responsibility for how awful your kids are. But don't worry, we'll make sure to be there so that the system can be maintained and slowly crumble. Imagine if people take responsibility for themselves. It's basically what's happening. That the cops who remain in these awful places like Minnesota are making sure that the people who won't stand up for themselves and won't vote for the people who support the police, they're making sure they don't have to. You are enablers. You are enabling these spineless, lazy layabouts who don't care about community. You are enabling them to completely disregard their responsibility. Just stop doing it. Now they're going to keep doing it, though. So look, this cop who got suspended, I think it's dumb. I do. But let me say it again for those in the back who didn't hear me the last 800 times I said this. If you remain a cop right now, knowing what's going on, literally making a video critiquing what's going on, do you expect me to donate to you when you get suspended? I am not going to do it. Now, if you resign in protest and say, I will not, be shut down, I will not stand for this, I'll definitely donate to that. You see, standing up for yourself is worthy, in my opinion, of support. God helps those who help themselves. Instead, what happened was you made a video, you get suspended from your job, and now people are giving you money. You know what? I guess to be fair, that's still worthy of some contribution because you stood up for yourself by making the video. So with respect, okay, I'll walk that one back a little bit. But for these other cops that would pull someone over and then get in trouble for it, I'm not going to help you. If you resign in protest, sure, I got your back to the best of my abilities. But these cops that enable the system, nah, you have to take responsibility for yourself. Now we'll see what's going on in New York City. This is crazy. New York lawmakers look to ban cops who resign are fired for misconduct from being rehired elsewhere. You know what? It's one more step in totally destroying our local police. And once we don't have police, I don't see how you enforce the law. I don't think the National Guard can do it. Some people have said the National Guard will come out, but they can't police. They can maybe lock down a city street, but they're not going to go to people's homes. That's much more difficult. I don't think there's enough. But maybe. Now, what they're saying is if a cop is forced to resign for misconduct or fired for misconduct, they can't get rehired. Sounds like a good thing, I guess, until you stop and pause and realize. I'll give you a specific example. People are saying Chauvin was a bad cop because he had 18 formal complaints. However, I think he was a cop for like 19 years, which means he was only getting one complaint per year. You have to realize when you're arresting someone, they're going to complain about you. And that's why often these complaints are just bunk and don't go anywhere. Someone gets arrested and says, what's your badge number? What's your badge number? And they're like, the cop didn't do anything wrong. So was Chauvin really this monster? Or was he a run-of-the-mill cop doing run-of-the-mill stuff? And they sacrificed him, threw him under the bus. Now in New York, you could have a cop, formal complaint arises. Some Black Lives Matter person says he was racist. He then says, I can't deal with the political pressure. And they say, we don't want this in the department. So he resigns. Can't be a cop ever again. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. A cop who resigned, in my opinion, though, that's someone worthy of support. But don't get me wrong. If there's a cop who resigns because they legitimately were engaging in misconduct, then good. If they can't get rehired, then good. The problem is people hate cops. Now, there's a funny tweet where some guy said, maybe if the police actually did their job and were trustworthy, people wouldn't be trying to abolish them. Ain't nobody writing a song saying F the fire department. I'm like, yeah, but the fire department aren't enforcing laws. I mean, I guess you have fire inspectors, but they pass it off to the DA and the cops. The cops aren't supposed to always have positive interactions with you. Cops stop you when you break the law. Sometimes it's really dumb and you get annoyed. Sometimes you're going 3-4 miles over the speed limit and you get singled out and you get annoyed. Sometimes your headlight goes out. You don't realize it. You get pulled over. It's annoying. Most interactions with cops are going to be negative. That's why people don't like it. But if you're doing things that are illegal, what do you think's going to happen? I do think the criminal justice system in this country has become too rigid, and we're supposed to have judges and a criminal justice system that should interpret the law properly and fairly and justly. For example, if somebody's, speeding for the first time or something and they have a reasonable reason, sure, maybe they'll get a ticket. Maybe they go to court. They explain, Your Honor, I was rushing to the hospital for this reason. Here's proof. And then the judge could be like, okay. Now, I understand that does exist in many circumstances. Judges will do that. But then you have the inverse where some judges just don't care. And I guess that's the limitations of our system. There will be judges and there will be cops who literally just don't care. I once got arrested for skateboarding. Cops didn't care. It was a stupid bunk charge and the judge got really pissed off and said, why are you wasting my time? They actually showed up too. Like the cops and the security guards show up to court and I'm sitting in court by myself, no lawyer. And the judge goes, what is this? And they're like, he was skateboarding down. He was skateboarding on the sidewalk, Your Honor. And the judge was like, excuse me? And they're like, yes, Your Honor. He was downtown, at the skating down the sidewalk. I kid you not. I was skating with friends. We were skating downtown. We were doing normal skate stuff, grinding and all that. And they were trying to claim it was vandalism. Now, look, I get it. People don't like skateboards and what it does to property. There were no signs saying we couldn't skate. We were just skating down the street, a bunch of kids skating through the city. And the judge looked at him and said, is this a joke? Get out of my courtroom. Waste of my time. Yeah, that happens too. So sometimes it does happen. But anyway, look, they want to make life a living hell for these cops. They're actively advocating for breaking the law. I'm getting to a point where I'm not going to stand up for cops who are standing in a burning building for no reason. You want to stay on the job, I guess, but it doesn't matter where you live. They will come for you. And all that's happening is you are enabling people to not take responsibility for themselves. It's about time we restored personal responsibility. And that starts by pulling the blanket off of the kids, the adults cowering under the covers because the monsters might be there. Okay. It's about time you walk into their room, you grab the blanket, you pull it off, and when they go, oh no, the monsters, say, yeah, well, too bad. We're not going to be here to take responsibility for you and your laziness. Maybe you should buy a gun, as is your Second Amendment right, to protect your home and be responsible with it. Instead of saying, the cops will do it for me. Because now they can't, or soon they won't be able to. And the sooner people realize what's going on, maybe the sooner they can start voting against these people. If the cops had stood up in a stronger position last year, maybe the Democrats wouldn't have won in Minnesota. And all of this would be over. Oh, well, you get what you vote for, and the cops are supporting it. I know they might not like it, but if you stay on the job and you keep doing these things, you just do what you're told, you're supporting it. And if you say, I don't support it, but I did vote Democrat, you're supporting it. And if you say, I don't support it, but I'm not going to speak up because I'm scared, you're abstaining from the vote. So right now the vote is in, and it's for abolishing the police. No matter how many times people say nobody really wants to abolish the police. Okay, well, I don't see any of you voting. I don't see any of you going out and protesting. In fact, some of these people who are voting are literally voting for the Democrats who want to support or do support defunding cops. So don't waste my time. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.